Welcome to another episode of OG55. We're talking about the Mandalorian and Grogu trailer. I got the Italiano, Tommy Toon, Jay Sherer, and Jared from Capture the Magic with me. We're going to watch the trailer, react to it, talk about it, break it down. Up next on OG50 All. Welcome aboard, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of OG55 Star Wars Edition. We're talking about the Mandalorian and Grogu trailer, a theatrical release for this franchise. We're going to watch it, break it down. Before we do, I want to introduce my fantastic panel. We got George and his amazing chest hair. How you doing, George?
We're both doing good. Yeah, unfortunately, it's in a little bit of hibernation right now, but, you know, it's my trademark. Gotta love it.
Gotta love it. Where can everybody find you on social media? I heard you have some changes over there at on YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me on my YouTube channel, Hollow Gelato, which recently was rebranded from Citrico Central. But you're going to get all the same great content that we've been doing. A lot of in-park stuff with Disneyland and Universal Studios Hollywood and Disney Cruise Line and all that good jazz. And we also do a lot of out-of-theater reaction reviews. And yeah, it's always a good time.
There he is. There he is. And we got the one and only Mr. Tommy Toon back in the building. He got his Star Wars wall behind him. Is that hat? Is that Star Tours?
Star Tours. It is OG. I had to get all ready for the I had to get ready for the trailer, man. Yeah, thanks for having me on, man. I always love coming on here talking to everybody. Yeah, man, you can find me on YouTube at Tommy Toon World. That's where I get some food reviews in, a lot of theme park stuff, Vegas stuff. And then you can find me on Instagram at TommyToon_. And then now, man, I caved and I got TikTok. So everything else is on there at TommyToon_world.
There he is, Tommy Toon. And I've seen this man in action. He does a lot of great content, puts a lot of love into his content. So make sure you go ahead and subscribe to him and show all the love. And you just hit 6,000 subs, right?
I did, man. I did. Hell yeah.
Absolutely. Congratulations, brother.
Yeah.
Big milestone. And Mr. Jay Sherer back in the house. How you doing, Jay?
I'm doing good. First time doing a show with Tommy, and first time I've seen George after his 53 vacations over the summer. So pretty cool to be back.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, you know, what was it? Like 52, you know, okay, who's counting, right? 52 But Mr. Sherer, where can everybody find you on social media?
You can find me on How Stories Work with Jay Sherer, just breaking down stories, trying to understand them better so that I can make my own stories.
There he is. There he is, Mr. Jay Sherer. And we got Jared from Capture the Magic is back. Jared, welcome back, sir. How you doing?
Thank you for having me. Glad to be on this nice panel with everybody. And I found my daughter had this. I forgot it was in here. I have a Mando bobblehead with the Grogu. So I also have something here that's Star Wars. You can find me on Cap the Magic everywhere, YouTube. And then if you want theme park specific content, CTM Podcast is where you can find the podcast version, and I'm interested to talk about this. I will probably say I'm going to go into this probably. I don't like to use the term black pilled. I'm just not high on Star Wars right now. I'll just put it that way. So we will see how this goes. I actually haven't watched it. I watched it one time, but once you said you want to watch it again, I was like, I'm not going to rewatch it again. So maybe the second time, but we'll see what it does. But that's kind of where I'm with Star Wars.
We need to put Jared on the thumbnail with red laser eyes.
This is which way to go. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. No, I feel you. I've been a Star Wars fan my whole life, but I don't know. I mean, I wasn't like super, and we'll talk about it, but I wasn't like super over the moon for this. Like the Rogue One trailer and all the lead up to Force Awakens and all that stuff. It was like the energy it just hit different.
That was insane. I remember Force Awakens stuff, and it was like they were seeing it and like the speculation, and it was that whole thing. There was so much energy around it.
Yeah. We live in a different world now when it comes to Star Wars for sure. So I completely understand where you're coming from. But here it is. This is the official trailer. It's only about 1 minute and 34, so I think we'll just play it and then we'll react, to it on the other side. So here we go, gentlemen. Let's do it.
sir.
Good shot, baby.
All right, gentlemen. So interesting trailer. The music stood out for me. I love the music. Absolutely crushed it. Real adventurous cowboy vibe. Digging it. I like the iconography with the logo. Very Indiana Jones. Pretty dope. Overall, I liked it. But here's my biggest critique about the whole thing. It looks like the show, and I know people are probably gonna be like, "Well, I mean, it's from the show. Why wouldn't you like that, OG?" I don't know. For me personally, we talked about it, in our group chats and stuff. But an example I would use would be like, DuckTales, right? The show DuckTales looks a certain way, but when it hits the big screen, the animation was like a lot better. And so I expect, like, even though it's a Disney Plus show, like when you do a theatrical, I expect to see a quality difference. I don't know. Jay Sherer, I'll start with you. Am I being a douchey fanboy for expecting that?
Well, I think you're going to approach this trailer from a lot of different ways. And to be honest, like I could probably do an hour and a half show just on this trailer because we're talking about there's business implications. This is the first movie we've seen in how many years? Like at least 9, right? Like it's been like a long time since we've seen a movie. Is this a good trailer? It's okay. I mean, there's a lot of ways to improve this trailer. The one thing that I've thought of that I would have really liked to have seen them do, when you look at the poster, when you look at this font, you get this very pulp kind of vibe, right? And for those of you who are out there and you're too young to know what pulp stories are just like really fun stories that used to come out a little bit faster, usually as serials. They used to be back in the 1930s and 40s. Indiana Jones is very pulp oriented. I wish they had taken that vibe and they had done the Clone Wars war footage voiceover.
Yes.
That would have been amazing because it has that kind of vibe. Like now we see Mando when he's fighting against the, whatever. And like that would have been really fun to me. Like that. And so this trailer, I think, is trying to strike a balance between fun and intense. And I think that it probably is kind of one of those trailers that you put out and go, this is real okay. But it's not going to offend anybody. It's just real okay, right? So that's kind of my instant take on the trailer.
Yeah. Now, Jay, real quick before I go to Jared, if they drop this trailer, let's just say there was no show and they just dropped this as a new movie a decade ago or 2016 or 2017, do you think that there would be more buzz? Because I kind of feel like a lot of the issue isn't even so much the trailer, it's just the Star Wars franchise as a whole. Like, do you feel like that's part of the equation why we're not so excited?
Okay, so yes. The short answer is yes. The long answer, again, probably an hour and a half show. The worst problem Star Wars has right now, in my opinion, is the division that Star Wars itself created in the fandom. And I think that there was this kind of thought process among the creative teams that, like, it's almost like they thought that 4-quadrant storytelling meant being able to stand up for what I'll call like they kind of pigeonholed themselves into a kind of Star Wars fan, as opposed to saying like, hey, this is what Star Wars looks like. Star Wars is, it started out as Star Wars is for everybody, and then it started to become like, wait a minute, Star Wars isn't for everybody. Star Wars is specifically like, and by the way, if you want to test me on this, go watch what the Star Wars Twitter was doing. It was not going on everybody's channels. It was going on very specific channels to promote all of the new stuff. And they basically said like, no, Star Wars isn't for all you guys. Star Wars is for these kind of people. We're making it for these kind of people. The rest of you can go shut up, right? So they put themselves in this place. Like, I think that if this trailer is not great, even if the trailer was not great, if the fandom wasn't so divisive, we would see more hype on this. But what's one of the reasons none of us want to talk about it? Because as soon as you start talking about Star Wars with somebody goes, I loved this, I hated that, and all of a sudden it blows up in your face, and it's like, oh, I thought we all liked Star Wars. So it just doesn't work like that anymore. It's not fun to talk about Star Wars. Generally speaking, I'll go around and I'll say, like, the number of people I want to talk Star Wars with is, like, I can count on one hand. Just because I don't want to deal with all of the vitriolic politics that come into this. And Lucasfilm shot themselves in the foot with that. I think that they're trying to get out of that. I think specifically greenlighting this film is them basically saying, like, what's one, season 1 and season 2, season 3 is controversial. It's not as good. Season 1 and season 2 united the fan base to a degree. There's a lot of other things that divided the fan base. I think that they said, look, let's make the movie that hasn't divided the fan base. They're making that movie, but I just hope that they're not being too careful with it, because you watch this trailer and it feels like, man, it feels really careful. And I think that when I say the fan base is the biggest problem, the divisiveness, it's not like you can go play it safe. That's not what I'm saying. You have to do stories, and you have to basically say, we're going to listen to whether or not this is quality, not listen to whatever audience groups we want to serve. And you have to put out quality product. Will this be a quality product? I'm still going to see this in the theater. I liked The Mandalorian. Even season 3, which I didn't think was great, I still watched it all. I still thought it was good. But I think they have a problem on their hands. To answer your question more directly, they have a problem on their hands. And why? Because about 50% of their projects are hitting, 50% aren't, and the ones that aren't, they go after a portion of the fandom and tell them how stupid they are for not liking the product. Well, guess what? A lot of us are going to be like, I don't want to step into that. I don't want to be accused of what they're accusing those people of. I don't really want to talk about this more. They're highlighting other channels. They're not highlighting mine. So I just think that that's a real problem that they got to deal with. And how are you supposed to excite a fan base when the fan base is so divided on stuff? It's just almost impossible.
Yeah, well said. Well said, Jared. What say you? The trailer, your thoughts on this overall franchise?
Well, first of all, I agree with everything Jay said. A lot of that stuff I was going to articulate, he said it better than I can. So I agree completely with that. I love Westerns. When Mandalorian was announced, I was like, man, the idea of a space Western, I'm down. Like, I love that idea of a space bounty hunter. And then you throw in Grogu and you're like, oh, it's a cute thing. I'm at the point now with this thing, I want to punt Grogu into another galaxy. I can't stand him. They're trying to make everything cutesy. Like, I want a hardened, like Western gritty type thing. And every single time you cut away to him, like me, eating popcorn or doing, and he's perpetually a baby. He annoys me to no end now. So if he grows up, okay, that's fine. But I would rather see Mandalorian do cool stuff. I would rather see him go after these things and other stuff like that. So it's like, when it comes to this, there's a lot of questions too. It's like the 4th season of a show, you're going to make into a movie. That's going to be assuming a lot of people. I mean, obviously, Mandalorian is popular, but it's not nearly as big as people like general audiences know about the regular Star Wars stuff. So I have questions about how well it's going to do. Will it be good? I'm at Lucasfilm, where until they produce something good. Now, I know people said Andor was good. I have not seen Andor, so I can't speak to it. But until you have 2 or 3 straight movies that maybe would give you some confidence with Lucasfilm, I haven't seen anything personally that I'm just like, they're on the right track. So I'll see it. I don't have any expectations for it, so maybe that'll help me enjoy it, because I just go into it not expecting much. But I honestly I'm tired of Grogu. I think that's where I'm at with this. And honestly, I never thought I'd be that way. Like, when the first season, I was like, oh man, protect him at all costs. And then now I'm just on the complete other end. Like, I just don't care, because there's been no character growth of him. He's just continually just a baby. And yeah. I mean, I guess he talked at the very end there, but you're just like, okay.
Yeah, I feel you on that. I feel you on that. Well said. Tommy Toon, what are your thoughts on the trailer, brother? Did you like it, love it, hate it?
No, I mean, Jay and Jared, well put on both your guys' opinions. I agree with all of that too. So, man, like, I went and saw, Phantom Menace in the movie theater when it came out when I was younger. That's kind of how, like, I started on Star Wars. Of course, I watched the old ones, growing up. But, man, like, this is the first trailer to a movie coming out that, like Jay said, like 7 to 9 years since they dropped a movie. They are kind of treading lightly with you know, or it's kind of weird, like what you said too, Jared. They're doing the season 4 into a movie because I feel like they have a plan. You know, I think I'm sure, you know, we've all seen it. Like they're gonna try and combine, you know, this show and all like everything into a movie, like and have Thrawn, I think, be the ending, right? Like the end battle. Like so they'll put, you know, Skeleton Crew maybe all in a movie, you know, with what was like Ahsoka, right? I mean that's going to be kind of good. They really want to culminate kind of like Avenger style, but I don't know if that could work right now. Like, you know, I used to get hyped to go see Star Wars, and then it kind of trickled off to like, oh, I'm gonna get hyped to go see Marvel, and then that kind of trickled off, right? So Disney, you know, buys these companies and starts working with them, and they kind of just, I don't know what happens, but I do like Mandalorian season 1 and 2, like you said, and I got really hyped, man. I bought the merch when it came out, like I was pumped, like super hyped. So this trailer to me, you know, just like if we're doing like Rotten Tomatoes type, like popcorn meter style colors and everything, it looks like it's going to be an adventure and a journey. You know, I mean, what Din Djarin, what did he do? He's at the end of the last one, he's gonna do stuff for the New Republic, right? So, you know, he's gonna run out stuff for New Republic, and then what, maybe we catch up with him like a couple months in or a week in, and then maybe get steered off track, and then they do something else, and then it leads to some whole thing where, you know, whoever the villain is, right? And then Thrawn coming in, and maybe it'll connect later on. Because I really do think they're trying to set the precedence with this being like, hey, this is the first of the next chain of movies that we're getting, because we're even getting that Ryan Gosling film, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
God help us.
I think they're I think they're trying here. They're definitely gonna try, but like you guys said, they're kind of leaning in to the cutesy thing too, because I even think they want the money from the families bringing their kids.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you might as well. And I even heard maybe Pedro might not be here every second of the film. Like it's like the body double, and then he voiced over. I don't know how true that
know if
is.
he wasn't though? That's the other thing too. It's like if it's him or not. It's like, you know,
Right.
Yeah,
Right,
no,
man.
well said. Yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting. George, your thoughts? I know, George, you've fallen off the Star Wars train a long time ago, but are you hyped for this one, or?
So, no. So here's my thing on it. I do agree with you. I feel like that the trailer gives off a lot of the vibe of if we were to receive a trailer for a streaming show. You know, it doesn't give that grandiose feel of a film, like in theaters. And my problem is the trailer itself. Not even really just this trailer, but trailers moving forward. I remember back in the day, and I'm gonna say back in my day, where I love where a trailer was. They gave one trailer, give us a little bit of a synopsis of what we can expect, and then it hypes us up to actually go into the theater to go see it. I can't stand this route that they're doing with the theater where it's teaser 1, teaser 2, teaser 3, and then theatrical 1, theatrical 2. It's like, we don't need all that.
Or
like,
the teaser before the trailer, like the little mini trailer, and then they start the trailer. I hate that.
Yeah, I can't stand that. Like, just give me a decent trailer and I'm good to go. Where now with this trailer in particular, it gives off like a bunch of action sequences that's going to go on in the movie, but it doesn't really give us a gist of like really what is the storyline that we're actually going to see, what is going to drive me to go to the theater to go see this. And I feel like this trailer is kind of lost in translation of that. And based off of also too what Jared was saying with Grogu, I loved how unknown he was in the first season, where it was like, okay, there's a significant part of him that, okay, he's a big part of the story. Now it definitely shows that he is just there for popularity's sake, you know, to sell the merch. And it's just like they know that put him in any scene and people will say, oh yeah, I'll go see that movie just because he's in every scene. He's cute. He's adorable. You know, he's a moneymaker.
Now, George, as a perpetual baby yourself, do you find yourself relating to him? I got to mess with George at least once in a video.
You know, here's the thing. In conjunction with that, I bet you I could pop lock and drop it much better than he could. So.
I concur. I completely agree. No,
but also too, I wanted to say, sort of like what Tommy was saying, where he was mentioning about like with Star Wars, and like Marvel and like where it dropped off. And I know this is probably going to be a hot take. I've been dwelling on this notion for a long time of going back and forth between with Lucasfilm and Star Wars, and honestly, I feel like it dropped off for me when Disney fully bought Lucasfilm. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed Star Wars. Like I enjoy Star Wars in the parks, but I enjoyed it where it still felt like Star Wars and they were just adding into the Disney mix, where I feel like now with Disney having the full control of the storyline and the direction it's going, I'm not impressed, unfortunately. And I'm a huge Disney fan, but I just don't like the direction that they're going. And Marvel kicking out the gate was very impressive, but even moving down the line with Marvel, it's starting to kind of show a little bit of what happened with Lucasfilm. Now that can very much change with Doomsday and Secret Wars, but we just don't know. A lot of people were saying, oh, Mando is going to bring Lucasfilm back. But honestly, based off of the trailer, I don't know. I don't know about that.
Well, yeah, and that's you make great points with that, George. And here's the other thing too, where I feel like with Star Wars and Disney, like when George Lucas was running it, there was so much space between these things. Like, I mean, how long was it until we got the prequels, right? What, like the late 90s? I mean, we waited like
20 plus years you had, or 30 maybe.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? So it's like, I feel like with Disney, they're just churning out, and you lose a little bit of that specialness with it. It doesn't become the event that it once was, and that's a big part of it, you know? So,
well, the other issue I have, and this is why I don't like prequels, even if this looked great and this was all amazing and all these things are doing amazing, it all still leads to Luke Skywalker on a mountain throwing his lightsaber away.
Wait, no, this one's after 7, right? No, it's 6, 7. Yeah, this one's after, right?
No, this is the sequel trilogy.
No, wait, hold up. 4, 5, 6. It's after 6. This one's after 6.
Right, but you still have 7, 8, 9. He's still, eventually we still know where this goes, and like, what is Grogu? How important can Grogu be? He wasn't in the sequel trilogy.
Bro, it's hard. I know. I see where you're coming from. That's what people say, right?
Yeah, like what's Mando? Like, where's all this going? Like, what happened to him? Why were they not in this? Why were they not in the big battle with somehow? What's his face came back? I'm forgetting his name all of a sudden, but the Emperor.
Oh, the Emperor Palpatine.
Somehow Palpatine returned. Like, where were they? And all so like somehow it's Palpatine like what? How important can they be if you still have the First Order comes back and all this leads to that?
Did you guys see John Boyega's take on if he had to redo the sequels? He did not hold back.
He knows he's never going to work for Lucasfilm again, and he's just like, hey, here's what I do.
I think you guys brought up some really good points that I wanted to address real quick, because there's two points in here that I think are really fascinating. One is the Marvelization, which is a word I'm making up, of Star Wars, and the other is this season 4 or is this a movie? And unfortunately, those two things go hand in hand, right? Because what we don't want to see, what will be bad for Lucasfilm, is if you have fallen out of watching some of these shows and you lost the interconnectedness of how this was all going to work, and you just show up at the movie theater thinking like, oh, I don't need to know anything, and then you need to know all of those things going into this. That will be a huge disaster for Lucasfilm. People will come out of the theater going like, I don't even understand what I'm watching. So I think that the Marvel franchise approach to Star Wars is likely not going to work very well in this context. The other thing that I wanted to address was something that Jared said, and OG, you said it a little bit too, that I think is really important. We all gravitated towards this show because, and I did a video on this actually, where I said, what's the difference between Boba Fett and Din Djarin, and why did they create two Mandalorians? Because they didn't need to, right? Like, they could have just gone with Boba Fett. But instead what they did was they took Boba Fett and they turned him into like what we were thinking he would be from the prequels, from a little bit of the Clone Wars series. And then they said, oh, you know what? We actually lost the original trilogy Boba Fett. The original trilogy Boba Fett was gone once you actually saw all of what happened to Boba Fett's arc. He was no longer like a mysterious character whose morality was a little bit questionable. He was a guy who was like fighting for like certain kinds of people, and you're like, this is weird. This is not the guy who I expected to see based on what I saw in Empire Strikes Back and in Return of the Jedi. So I think that what I'm really hoping that they'll get back to, right? And season 1 had this. It was, who's the bounty of the week? It feels like a cowboy show. It feels like I roll into a new town. Who are the bad guys here? Who are the good guys here? I'm not fighting for either of them. And guess what? I'm going to find some corruption on the good guys' side. I'm going to find some people on the bad guys' side who I actually like and I actually want to work with. Like, that was the kind of show that I thought we were going to get for the rest of the entire deal. But then what we started to see was, no, we're weaving this Marvelization in where you've got to watch Ahsoka and see what Ahsoka's doing. And you've got to see what Bo-Katan is doing and what her whole thing is about. And I think that that is actually a bad way to go. I think if you were to release this trailer, you were to have the Clone Wars radio voiceover and say, here's what's happening in the galaxy, and then we're going to send Din Djarin into some of those places. And he's not working for the New Republic. He's not working for the First Republic or the First Order. He's not working for anybody. He's doing what he needs to do because he's got to make a living doing credits. I think that's kind of the heart of a bounty hunter tale, and I think that that's what we would all gravitate toward. I love the fact that it looks like they're showing up on Nar Hutta or Nar Shaddaa or wherever we're looking at there in the trailer with the with all the arabesque. But I have a feeling it's going to be no. Din Djarin is a part of this bigger storyline where he's helping the good guys. And I just don't think we want that from a Mandalorian bounty hunter. You know what I mean?
You're right. And Jay, you bring up a great point about the Marvelization, which it absolutely is a word. I am thoroughly that is a word.
That's good. That's a good word.
It's perfect. It's perfect. But here's the thing: the Marvelization isn't even working for Marvel anymore because I think people don't want all that investment. Like, I mean, I don't, that's why I fell off the MCU. I mean, it's like, I don't,
it's homework.
It's homework. Yeah, exactly. And I don't want that with Star Wars too. I just want, they got to get in, they got to get away from the cinematic universe stuff and just kind of make like individual things that people can like consume. It's more digestible and get away from that MCU model. The MCU model worked really, really well at that time. But I think after Endgame, I think people were like, okay, cool. I invested a lot of my life into this, but I'm not doing it again. We're done.
Well, and it's like with Marvel and the same thing with Star Wars. What they would do in the comics when it worked well is like you'd go really out there and it starts getting into all the space stuff. And then the next thing they'd ground it, have a grounded story, Spider-Man in Brooklyn. It's just a neighborhood story. Same thing with this, like have a grounded Star Wars show where Din Djarin comes across Jedi sometimes. And the Jedis can do all this cool stuff, but sometimes it's a situation where his specific skill set is what is needed, or his mindset is what needed. Like I love the idea of a good, bad, and the ugly, and like Josie Wales, and like all these things. Like it'd be awesome in a Star Wars setting. And like Jay said, like this is what the Mandalorian was supposed to be, but then it becomes all interconnected with this stuff. And I just want to see like a simple story. That's if you want to do different stories in Star Wars, this has been your opportunity to do it. It doesn't have really anything, or it didn't, to do with Jedi and space wizards. It was just like, oh, let's follow a Mandalorian who he doesn't care about your battle. He's just, I'm here to do a job. you know, people or whatever. He's got a position, and maybe some people he finds friendships with people, but you know, and then you had the whole thing too. Like, I think Gina Carano's character was really good. And then all of a sudden, you know, obviously she's not a part of it anymore. And so it's like, you've got this all now where it's just, what is it? And it just, yeah.
What is it? Good point. So I don't know why Disney tends to go all in and then try to micromanage after. Like, they do it with Marvel all the time. They kind of fumbled for like 2 years. So they said, let's get the Russo brothers back. Let's get Robert Downey Jr. back, and let's get them 2 movies, and let's just cash them out and give them everything they want. I feel like with Star Wars, they kind of did the same thing. They got Dave Filoni, you know, they got Jon Favreau, and they're like, these are our cash cows for Star Wars. Let's kind of, right now at least, but now let's let them do what they want. So like Jon Favreau did the first 2 seasons, you know, with a small budget compared to the third, right? And you know, that even works better sometimes with shows because they have to manage, like you said, this old cowboy western. They don't throw in all this galactic stuff, even though they did because it's Star Wars. But you know, it's just hard because you know, then they come up with, oh hey, now we got to integrate all this because you're the cash cow, you're the one that's blowing up. So let's intertwine all this. And then you know, Dave Filoni's probably happy because then he could bring back his old stuff, you know. It's weird though, yeah, because then Disney says, hey, well, we got to hit these key points and come back to this is probably gravitated towards kids because it literally has Grogu's name in the title. You know, it's not too catchy. It's just the Mandalorian and Grogu, just like right in your face. There's no like, you know, no like, oh, their adventures of or anything crazy. That like OG said, the music is fire, bro. Like that. That's going to get you going no matter what. You're like, okay, I'm going to at least like this part of it, you know?
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. Yeah, it's interesting. I would actually like to see like if they do sequels, if this thing really pops off and it's really good and it does well, I would like to see sort of like an Indiana Jones kind of title approach where maybe the sequel will be like the Mandalorian Grogu and the
Raiders of the Lost Ship.
Yes, or something like that, right? Or like the treasure of planet, whatever, you know.
Do you know what we're going to get if they do make a sequel? You know what the title is going to be? They'll just simply just call it Star Wars: The Mandalorian and Grogu. That's it.
Grogu.
Yeah, the two will be the G. Yeah,
actually, right. You know what it's going to be: The Mandalorian and Ahsoka, because that's what Dave Filoni's going to want. Because Ahsoka apparently cannot die. No, what Tommy said, I feel like season 1, especially, it feels to me like this was something they just let Jon Favreau do. They didn't have a lot of expectations for it, and it got hot. And then guess what happens when that happens? Here comes corporate. And then we got to put our tentacles in it. And ever since then, you've seen it veer off track. And I just feel like this is the only thing that Lucasfilm has had that has really struck a core. I mean, I know Andor has had good reviews. Like I said, I haven't seen it, but it didn't catch on with a massive audience. So it just seems very corporatized now. Whereas before it was like an interesting story about like, oh, what is this? Like, what is, you know, all it kind of like, you know, like Jay said, serialized stories, kind of like old school ways. And now it's just like, we know what's going to happen here. Like, I'm guessing like, it's just, you know, something's going to happen and Grogu's going to save Mando in a situation and he's going to be cute and they're going to fly off in the ship and they're like, and the adventures continue. And you're like, okay.
No, exactly. That's exactly it. Well, and that's the thing. It was a brilliant sort of thing in the beginning, right? Where it was like this idea of like this bounty hunter with his kid that he has to protect, right? It's
but grudgingly too. Like he didn't want to. He like got stuck with him.
I'm stuck with this kid, right? And that relationship dynamic was really kind of cool and interesting, very different for Star Wars. But you're right though, Jared, with the whole like he's a baby forever kind of thing. That wears out eventually. You have to kind of progress this character. And they've made some attempts with that, I guess. But like the whole thing with him choosing between Luke and Din, right? It's like that was kind of like the moment where they really could have advanced his character, I feel, and they kind of like, nah, we're just gonna go back to what it was, you know.
They decided to use part of what was the Boba Fett show to make it all of a sudden became a Mandalorian episode, and then he just goes back. So if you didn't see Boba Fett, you saw the end of season 2, and you're like, oh man, and then season 3 starts, he's right back with Mando, and you're like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
The hell
Not,
happened here?
not to mention the
Yeah.
85 minutes of what the previous episode was before it even starts into the new episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I did not like the Boba Fett show. I hated the space Vespas or whatever those things
You didn't
were.
like the spinning space shots that they posed when they would shoot. I saw that scene. One of the outlaw people did it where he like did a spin move and shot and they froze on it. I'm like, what is this? Like, I feel like I'm watching a K-pop music video, which is fine for K-pop. Which is fine for K-pop, but it's not Star Wars.
No, it's
But
not
the
Star
song
Wars.
went hard. That guy, that orchestrator or whatever, he goes hard. What's his name? Bjorn something or
Ludwig.
I know
Ludwig
you guys-
Göransson.
Ludwig.
Yeah.
Thank you, bro. He
Ludwig.
kills it, bro. So
He
like
does.
you know yeah.
Oh yeah, Ludwig is Ludwig. I can fairly pronounce it. Is amazing. Yeah, he kills it. You know, he absolutely kills it. Now, I actually really like this. This is the poster. I really like the poster. Actually, I like the poster more than the trailer. I gotta be honest with you.
Yeah.
I really like this. Are you feeling this, Jay, or is this your cup of tea? Or
Well, so I am. The question that you posed to us to start the episode, OG, was, how do we feel about how this is going to do? Now, let me remove all of my negativity about this with the fact that I'm going to show up and see this movie in the theaters, right? Like, I actually like Mandalorian a lot. I have not liked all of the Star Wars properties. Some of the Star Wars properties I thought were actual, like, I hate when people say this is, it's garbage. But there were some shows in the Star Wars universe that were pretty bad, right? Andor is, by the way, Jared, Andor is my favorite Star Wars at this point.
I've heard that from multiple people. I
yeah.
need to watch it.
It's amazing. It's not gonna give you that feel that it's Marvelized at all. Like it just feels completely separate from all that. Despite the fact that it leads into Rogue One, it still feels like it's like its own story. But I like what they did with season 1. I like what they did with season 2. Season 3 was okay. I didn't love it. I don't like, again, having a bounty hunter become a willing participant in the global forces that exist, to me is sort of a miss for a character who's a bounty hunter, because bounty hunters have taken on a style of work that is very isolating and very non-camaraderie, if you will, right? So to have them like join into a group, if you're going to do that, it has to be very limited in its scope. But having said all that, I still really like the character. I like Grogu. I confuse everyone in Fortnite because my skin is Boba Fett, but I have Grogu as my back bling. So it's just a complete confusion of what's going on. But I've enjoyed it. So I'm still gonna go see it. I actually really enjoyed Jon Favreau's storytelling. Jon Favreau, in my opinion, has his whole filmography. If you go back through it all, and he started with Swingers and he did Made. He's a guy who's able to do like independent storytelling and then go all the way up to the studio level and tell a really good studio story. So I have a lot of faith in Jon Favreau. I think Filoni has a really good understanding of Star Wars. I don't always agree with what he does with Star Wars. Sometimes I think he tries too hard to be the spirit of George Lucas and how George Lucas would apply something. But I still will go see this movie in the theater. I will do so with reservations, which is probably good, because if I went in hyped, then I would probably be disappointed. But I don't want it to sound like I'm being too negative here. I just think from a business standpoint, they've dug themselves a hole that's very hard to dig yourself out of. And I'm not sure how they're going to recover from that. Taking a break with movies, I'm not sure was the right idea. Introducing a movie as a season 4, I'm not sure that's a good idea. Like, I don't know that that's ever been a good idea. Now, I've also been on this channel, and I've said that I wish that big studios would look for what's popular and go, oh, you know what? That short film is doing really well. Maybe we should blow that up into a feature and things like that. So I don't want to be hypocritical by saying like, oh yeah, well, why would you make a movie of Mandalorian and Grogu? I totally understand why they're going to make a movie of Mandalorian and Grogu, but I will be a little bit nervous about it because I think the Marvelization of it concerns me. The nature of Din Djarin and his bounty hunter nature turning into this, like, I'm part of a bigger galactic team that's going to take down what is becoming the First Order, and I'm going to work for the Republic, I think is is odd. So I'm still going to go into this hoping that it does well, and I'm going to go see it. And I love the poster, and there's elements of the trailer that I really like, but I just hope that it all comes together. And it's really hard to recover from what they've done.
Yeah, no, well said, George. Did you like the poster, or not so much, or indifferent?
Oh, geez, like Jay, you're supposed to answer if you like the poster or not.
No, I want to touch upon what you said actually, and after I get their thoughts on the poster, because there was a lot there that I think is really fantastic. Go ahead, Italiano.
So for me, I like the style of the poster, but I can't get hyped for something within a poster until I actually get to see the movie. Which I am with Jay. I am going to go see the movie in theaters. Because I was invested in The Mandalorian since the very beginning. I did feel like with season 1 in particular, and even moving into season 2, this was going to be like the revival of something of Star Wars. Season 3, not so much. And then that's where it kind of bleeds into the fact of that, they're referring this as a season 4 is very concerning. So for me to look at the poster and say, "Oh, that's a a banging poster," like this is going to be like a hot movie going in, and then I'm going to go in and I'm going to say, "Wow, the movie didn't project nothing into what the poster is." I usually like to wait to see how my reaction is to the movie before I could really get married to the poster.
Okay, all right, Tommy, poster, feeling it? Not so much. In the middle?
Yeah, man, like I was saying, I like the poster. I just, I don't need the title super long. So, what I mentioned earlier, it's give or take, but because it's already a super long title. But yeah, the poster is pretty cool. I like how they give you different aspects of everything, and they kind of show you, what characters they're going to have around. I'm not sure if that's the twins of the Hutts or it's just the guy from the Bear. But I know that's going to be cool having, Jabba the Hutt's son in there. That's a really cool aspect. I was trying to think of stuff that I liked from the trailer. Definitely the Hutts look really cool. And then it looks like he has a new spaceship. Maybe he fixed one of them. I'm curious to see what special appearances we'll get, because I know we'll get some secret appearance of some character and everybody's going to freak out. So that would be cool to see that, because we got to have a lightsaber in there at least once, right?
I agree. No, that's a great point. What cameo? Who's going to make a cameo on this? They're going to do it. They always do, right? There's going to be somebody in here. Jared, the poster, you feeling?
Here's the thing. If this was like a brand new thing and I didn't know anything about The Mandalorian, and you just had this sort of vibe of like season 1 of Mandalorian, you saw this poster, I would be very intrigued. I'd be like, this is totally different than what Star Wars has done. So I actually like the poster because, again, I love Indiana Jones. I love that storytelling type of movie. So I like the poster. I can't say the poster changes my view of where I'm jaded when it comes to Star Wars. I'll be totally honest. Like I've never been like the biggest Star Wars fan in the world, but like I've always enjoyed them, and it was always an easy thing to watch. And like Jay said, it's not as easy to watch. It's become a chore. And now it becomes this whole, you're getting all sorts of different topics other than just space wizards fighting evil bad guys. And so I like the poster. I don't think it changes much about it, but I like the vibe, I guess you could say. I think it sets a good vibe. I don't know about the story.
Yeah. No, well said. Well said.
One thing I'll note about the poster specifically, OG, if you bring it back up, one thing that's a little bit of a bummer is if we take a look at this poster, almost everything in this poster is also in the trailer.
Yeah.
We have not seen him on that like smaller ATST thing that he's got right there. I don't know what that's called. We didn't see the twins that Tommy referenced in the bottom left there, but everything else in this poster is in the trailer. And I think that's a little bit, what word do I want to use? It's a little bit disappointing because what it feels like they're either doing a good thing and they're hiding some of the most important stuff from us so that we don't get spoiled. but it could be a bad thing. And then it's like, yeah, these are the 5 adventures he goes on, and we just wanted to showcase those, and there you go, that's it. Right? Like you'd be like, oh, okay, there's not much more to it. Then it would feel more like a season 4 as opposed to a movie that's going to take things in a bigger direction. And I think that would be a little bit disappointing. Now, I will do one shout out here though, is that even in our poster over here for No Vacancy, the very new school thing to do is orange and blue. And because those contrast really well, so you'll have like a poster that's kind of half orange, half blue, and the lighting is showcased that way. You can go watch videos on this, because when we were putting our poster together, we did all the research. And I love the fact that they're taking this in a new direction, and they're having a lot of the yellow and green show up, because that's a pretty new thing for modern day posters to look a little bit more like this. And I will give them a shout out to the poster designer for going in a new direction and not just retreading.
Yeah, no, well said. And Jay, to circle back to your first point with you mentioned that you understand why they're going with this movie, and we've talked about it in group messages and stuff. But I mean, I think that you made a really good case for that, because what else are they going to do? Like, right. I mean, really, like, you can't do sequel trilogy, because I mean, we can revisit the sequel trilogy eventually, and I think they should. I think you need to kind of fix that, like how the Clone Wars series fixed the prequels. I think
or
that
Luke
you need
wakes up from a bad dream and it was like, oh, like Bob Newhart version, and it just never happened.
Exactly, like what the fuck was that? You know, but I think we could revisit that eventually. But right now is not a good time. Definitely not a good time. So this is really the only thing they got. I mean, really, what else are they going to do? This was the one thing they've done that has actually moved the needle culturally, right? And that's the difference too. A lot of people that are sequel trilogy people. And I didn't hate the sequels, but I didn't think they were amazing either. But a lot of people who are sequel trilogy people will say, well, all the movies made $1 billion. They did, but they didn't really move the needle culturally. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't a phenomenon by any means. This show.
They won the battle to lose the war, is what
they also lost their audience from Force Awakens to Return of the Skywalker. Actually, I pulled that up. Of the movies in terms of the audience, which is pretty interesting. So Mandalorian had about 25 to 30 million viewers estimated on average that saw it, which is good. Yeah. And then if you look at, we have here Rise of Skywalker, it ended with about 90 to 110 million people that saw that movie. Compare that to Force Awakens, there was a 230 million tickets sold. So it more than half dropped off from Force Awakens to Rise of Skywalker. Mandalorian's got even less because it's a Disney Plus show. That's a big hurdle to try and make like that. Yeah. Given where the audience is with Star Wars now, also, it's just I think it's a big hurdle.
The one 100%. Caveat to those figures, I would say, is are they counting for repeat viewers? Because the reason I bring that up is because Star Wars have always performed with repeat viewership. Yeah, and so one of the things is. And that's why the numbers are, I think, the way I would interpret that data is one of the reasons why Rise of Skywalker is so much lower than The Force Awakens is because we all thought that we were going to get 3 banger movies, and we all went to see the first one multiple times. And then as we kept going, we're like, wait a minute, I'm not like I only saw Rise of Skywalker one time in the theater. I'm like, I'm not going back to that, right? Like, yeah, completely different perspective.
I think it was tickets sold. So, I mean, I'm sure some of that was repeat, especially Force Awakens. But I completely agree with that for sure.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But it proves the point that OG was making, that the viewership is that you've made too, Jared, that the viewership is dying, right? Like the one other thing I will add, and Boyega said this as well, because Boyega is probably listening to all of us on all of our podcasts. But the one thing I've said 1 billion times is that the other route they could go. And I know why I don't know why, but I think I know why they don't want to do it, is they could go to the Old Republic, because a lot of old school fans play the Old Republic games. They're some of my favorite games that I've ever played in my life. Yep. And I think that the reason that they refuse to go back to that is because I feel like to them, it feels like defeat. Oh, like we gave in to what, and it's like, yeah, but those are really good stories. You can tell them really well cinematically, because those games were made in an era where the graphics weren't awesome. So you can give us some of the same visuals and we would just be enthralled by them. And I think that's the only other area that I would say OG is like, I think you're right. The only thing that's really worked across the fandom is the Mandalorian Grogu, which is why we all go, yeah, it makes sense why they made this movie. Right. But the other thing they could have done is they could have said, you know what? Let's let all of this stuff die down. Whether or not you like the sequel trilogy, whether or not you liked Ahsoka, whether or not you liked Acolyte, which most people didn't, Boba Fett, all that. We're just going to let that sit on the shelf for a while. We may address it later, but guess what we're going to do? We're going to release some Old Republic films. I think that might have actually energized a lot of the people that they actually ostracized in their whole campaign to say like, no, you're wrong for saying we did bad things. You're a racist. You're a bigot. Now, I'm not saying there weren't those people. There for sure were those people, but you lumped a lot of other people in with that backlash. And now all those people are like, why should I watch your movie when I can go watch K-pop Demon Hunters and it's awesome and nobody tells me how to feel about it, right?
Yeah.
Also, the extended universe stories that they
100%.
axed as soon as they bought Star Wars. There's some great stories in that. Yes. That you could have just taken that. You could have just pulled the shelf off a book and been like, make that into a movie.
Yep.
And it'd have been perfect.
Yep.
100%. Well, I want to bring up one point before we get out of here. And this is kind of something that I think is kind of concerning. I mean, I don't know. And maybe I'm just being like too overly picky, but like, I feel like that some of the CGI in this, like this is obviously CGI. This is not good, y'all. Like I don't know. I mean, these AT-AT walkers just look like, even for TV standards, I think pretty bad. And that was the thing, because they showcased this scene at the very end, like the big finale for the trailer. And I'm like, oh man, I don't know. Like that doesn't look good. That looks like kind of like the Solo stuff, right? A little bit. And like that.
Well, now they have to have it match what they're going to do with Smuggler's Run. So because Smuggler's Run looks like a gigantic video game, that they have to now match it to that, because that's literally going to open up the same weekend. Revamped Smuggler's Run with Mando and Grogu along with this, which that's a risk in itself, because I mean, and it's smart in one way, but it's a gamble in another, because if this movie is a gigantic flop, and when I mean by a gigantic flop, I'm not saying that there's not going to be butts in the seats, but after the fact that the butts are in the seats, because people, as you guys were saying, people went to go see The Force Awakens, people went to go see Rise of Skywalker. You know, I'm still paying my therapy bill after walking out of Last Jedi. But it's to the fact of that, once you get into the theater and they eventually walk out, what are the reviews going to be where people are then going to say, oh my gosh, like I can't believe I just wasted 2 hours on that, you know? And then that's going to bleed into, oh, okay, well, how much are people then going to keep the Mandalorian franchise relevant? You know, Grogu will stand by himself. Like you could just put him on a poster and people will go nuts. Yeah. You know, and to Jared's point, that's why he's so sick of him, is because like he's just like, you could do anything that you want with him, but people will still go for it. It's a cash grab. I'm starting to get into that boat where it's like, I don't want to watch something because it's the hype, because everybody is enraged with it. Like I want to see something because there's good story, there's good plot line, there's good character arc. That's what I look forward, and that's what they always used to do with Star Wars. And I just feel like that the persona of it moving forward, and this is why I'm curious, I'm optimistic. I hope it does well. I hope it's good. I want to be entertained when I go see it in theaters, but am I going to be married to the fact that this thing is going to be the best thing? I don't know. That's why it's more so, and I don't know. I'm not going to say it's a yes, and I'm not going to say it's a no.
Yeah. No, well said. Well said. Well, gentlemen, a really good conversation. It'll be very interesting to see how this thing shakes out, because we haven't had a Star Wars movie in the theaters for 6 years now. It's 2019, pre-pandemic. Okay, this has been a while.
That's crazy.
Well, and that's the risk too about taking a break, right? Because when you take a break now for all those years, that the expectations are higher now. Kind of like, well, you took that big break to kind of collect yourself and change. Like now that it's like, well, let's see what you got. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know.
I'll just say this. I'll go on record. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll eat crow. I think this movie maybe makes 500 million or less. That's kind of where I think that's, if you look at Fantastic Four and some of the other ones and where the fan base is, I think that's the range for it personally.
Well, Jared, they have 4 days to make that because GTA 6 comes out on May 26th.
That's a great point. And that game is going to be massive. That's a really good
Everybody's
point.
going to be at home like this.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to get people to go to the theaters now anyways when there's not GTA 6 that just came out that's been out for, well, how long is that? 10 years plus? Have they been developing that game?
Right.
It's crazy. Now, George, I'm surprised you didn't pick up on this, but your ex-wife was in the trailer. You didn't even say anything. So,
well, actually, no, I did notice it, but it was just like to relive that memory. It's like, why?
Now, I do want to bring something up. We have this great apparel store that I think Jared might be aware of. I'm not sure. CTM Apparel, where you can buy a lot of nerdy shirts, theme park stuff, all kinds of good stuff, Nintendo, all that good stuff. CTM Apparel, link down below. Promo code OG55 for a discount for sure. Gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for joining me today. George, I will start with you, sir. Where can everybody find you on social media, sir?
Absolutely. You can find me on my YouTube channel, Hollow Gelato, basically going around all different theme parks from Disneyland to Universal to Knott's Berry Farm, all that good jazz. And then also doing out of theater reactions and reviews, for which I will be doing one for Mandalorian and Grogu. And as I said, it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. And yeah, you could also find me on Instagram as well under Hollow Gelato.
There he is, Mr. Hollow Gelato. We got Mr. Tommy Toon. Tommy Toon, welcome. Thank you so much for joining again, brother. Always have a good time with you. Had a great time with you at HHN, dude. That was a banger night, bro. Banger night. I appreciate you.
Oh, gee, man. It's always good being here, and it's always good seeing you in person, man. We'll lock in soon. I'll be back down there. We'll finish off the haunt season strong. For sure, no matter what. Jay Sherer, man, it's nice meeting you finally, man. I'll catch you in person soon, hopefully. And Jared, man, yeah, it's always good working with you on here, and we'll be in Florida soon, man. So hopefully we link up there. Yes, sir. But yeah, you can find me on you can find me on YouTube. I got a lot of food reviews on there, pumping out this Halloween content, Disney, HHN, Universal. That's at Tommy Toon World. And then let's see, Instagram is TommyToon_. That's that more day-to-day life stuff. And TikTok, you can find the crazy stuff over there. Let's see how well it stretches. I don't know, but it's TommyToon_world.
There he is, Tommy Toon. And we got the one and only Jay Sherer. Jay, thank you so much. We always appreciate you, brother. Amazing insight as usual. If you can remind everybody where they can find you on social media, sir.
Yeah, and a couple points I want to make too. If George does on his rebranded channel, if George does skits of him in therapy talking about The Last Jedi, that is gonna do numbers, dude. That would be amazing,
dude. Jay, that's kind of brilliant. If he did it like Churdley's style,
yeah, exactly.
like deadpan serious, that'd be fantastic.
It'd be awesome.
Also,
Tommy,
Jay, like, I always give you ideas for storytellers. See, now you just gave me an idea.
I had to give some ideas back. Yeah, exactly. Also, I think Tommy Toon has one of the best names on the YouTube branding side. This is awesome. And always good to podcast. Always good to do a show with Jared for sure. I will say, just leading out before I tell you where to find me, I will say I think that this is one of the most difficult box offices to predict. I think that there's a chance that this makes $1 billion. Star Wars does really well at the box office. Do I think it's going to do that because of what we all just talked about? Man, I have no clue. So this one's a really, really, very, very, very difficult one to predict for sure. If Jared and I were betting, I would bet that it would be over 500 mil, but we'll see where it goes.
Just for the fun of it, can we just all just pick a number, not in between, like actually pick a number, and we'll come back to this when the numbers are, and let's see who really came the closest for the grand total of the worldwide box office.
Let's do it. So Jared, you're saying 500 worldwide, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with 500. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go 800 million worldwide. George, what are you?
Actually, believe it or not, the number that really popped in my head was 860.
860?
860.
860 million. Okay, there you go. Worldwide. Tommy Toon, worldwide. What's it doing, brother?
670.
670. And Mr. Jay Sheer.
I was gonna say 8. So because you said 8, because George said 860, I'll take 910. I'll take the high road. It's not gonna get that, but I'll just take it just to have it.
There we go. There we go. All right, we're on record now, and we'll come back to this. You know what I'm saying? And we'll clip it, and we'll do like we'll do a reaction. All of us. We'll come back. We'll react to us.
React to us.
Yeah.
By the way, you can find me on How Stories Work with Jay Sherer. We have a new movie coming out, and you'll probably be able to see it here on Orange Grove 55 as well, because I'm sure we'll do a show where I can invite the cast and crew on, and just like we did with No Vacancy for members, we can do that for Disclosure. But the good thing about Disclosure is that Disclosure is coming out on YouTube, and I'm just releasing it on YouTube. I'm not taking it on the festival circuit, which means we don't have to wait around to show it to people. Like you don't have to be an OG55 member to watch it. You can just watch it with us without that being a constraint. So Disclosure will be coming out on How Stories Work with Jay Sherer. You can also find me analyzing movies and learning more about storytelling so that I can make better movies.
There we go. Okay, there we go.
You keep on saying it's a disclosure. Okay, can you just tell us the name of the movie already?
Yeah. Disclosure. Although I did hear somebody say, and I had not heard this before, so this was not anything that I might get a cease and desist, because somebody said that there's a rumor that Steven Spielberg's Alien movie is called Disclosure, and that's either real good for me or I'm going to get a cease and desist. So one of the two will happen, and we'll see. But yeah, Disclosure is our film.
There it is. And stay tuned to OG55. We're going to be covering Disclosure a lot here on the channel. So check it out. Check it out. And we have Mr. Jared from Capture the Magic. Jared, it's always good to have you on the show, brother. Where can everybody find you on social media, sir?
Well, first off, thank you for having me. It's always a great time talking with everybody. George, congrats on the new channel, by the way. You're climbing up there. Tommy, it's always great with you. And Jay, I could pick Jay's brain, I think, for like 3 hours on movies, because I like to dissect things way too much. So I appreciate the in-depth analysis. So, and I'm very forward to the movie. So when that comes out, I want to watch that. But you can find me at Cap the Magic, YouTube, social media, everywhere like that. If you want theme park specific tips and tricks, all sorts of things, at CTM Podcast with my wife and I. We do a podcast shows all the time over there on everything like that. So that's where you can find me.
There he is. Make sure you check him out. Info in the description down below.
Yeah, hey, I wanted to say shout out to George for his channel, man. Hollow Gelato, man, you've been doing big things. You and Abby, you guys are climbing up for sure, man. Locking in at the theme parks nonstop. It's crazy the adventures you guys go on. You guys got a lot of fandom coming from OG55 as well. So yeah, man, congratulations on the name change and everything, and wish you the best on the future, man. I know it's just sky's the limit now.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, it's can't wait to do this journey and invite you all along with it. So
and now I have to remember a new channel name because I'm gonna mess it up. It's gonna take me 6 months before I will get it eventually.
Yeah, I've had that already where I'm like I want to say Citrico, but no, I mean Aloe Gelato. You know?
Yeah. And you just be jumbling up the words. You say citrus gelatin.
There we go. There we go. Now Tommy on his channel, he's got a little segment called Hit or Miss. Now there's a gal who never misses, and that's Mimi Fan. She's gonna take us out.
Thank you so much for watching OG55. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and become a member today.